Welcome back, College Football V.O.C. YouTube channel. Week 10, I believe, of college football season. We had the first playoff rankings come out this week. Some upsets last week. Potential for some this week. A lot still going on. Michigan is still a major headline. I'm not going to focus as much on it this week just because I don't really want to talk about idiots as much and take up the airways as much. We all know they're cheaters. But with that being said, let's jump into it.
Third down for
You know, when you look at the quick cap for that, like Oklahoma gets knocked out by Kansas, Oregon dominated Utah, USC escaped against Cal, winning 50-49. 3 games in a row where USC hasn't looked very good, losing 2, one being to Notre Dame, one being to Utah. It's like, where is USC right now? A lot of problems. It feels like Caleb Williams and Lincoln Riley, it kind of feels like they're done with USC. They're over it. The fun's over. We're ready for something new. They're just trying to finish out the year. North Carolina loses again, this time to Georgia Tech. I said it a couple weeks ago, like, this is North Carolina. This is what they do. They are good. They have talent. They got a lot of players, and then they end up losing games that they shouldn't. Oregon State fell to Arizona. The Pac-12 is continuing to have domino effects, and it's only going to get crazier with some of the games that we have coming up in the next coming weeks, with how are they going to impact the playoff moving forward with the season. All right, looking at Michigan, look, they cheated. We know that. There's no denying that they have done things and, things that have caused problems. Now there's polls coming out, anonymous, of like coaches and all this, and I've seen one thing, coaches believe it added 10 points to every game that they've played if the stuff is officially fully true. The assistant Stallions is now apparently being shown as an assistant with Central Michigan, and now Central Michigan's like, we don't know who this guy. If you don't know who the guy is, you're proving the point of his cheating. If you come out and name, this was, Joe Moore, standing on the side as my dogs are barking because they know the cheaters are going on. It's like, if you understood those things and you went through the process, then we wouldn't have to continue to talk about it. But the fact that they don't know who this guy is proves it's the guy that shouldn't be there. Daily things are coming out. Now the new report is, Michigan has ties that Ohio State started this. Who cares? This is how NCAA investigations start. There's an investigative firm outside that starts finding evidence, and then they take it to the NCAA. The NCAA doesn't start these investigations. I think what's really telling is anything going to be done this year? I don't believe the Big Ten is going to do anything, and the NCAA cannot. The NCAA has to give Michigan a formal compliance of that they are investigating them. They haven't done that yet, and then Michigan has 90 days to reply to that. Season's over at that point. So nothing's going to happen from NCAA-wise with Michigan. The Big Ten, I don't expect them to do anything. If they did, I would be shocked. And then the other report is, Harbaugh had a contract extension revoked, and now it might be back on the table. But does Jim sign it? There's going to be 3 or 4 teams that are going to want to sign him in the NFL. I mean, the Raiders fired their coach. You don't fire your coach in the middle of the season to try and not make a big splash. I believe the Bears would go after him. I think the Chargers would go after him. I think the Washington Commanders would go after him. I think there's teams that are going to want him. So it's going to be very interesting if you're Jim to be like, hey, we can give you an out and let you kind of somewhat move on. But that's going to be my limited time. I mean, I could ramble on and on about these cheaters all day, but I won't. I got other things to do, other things to talk about. I don't like spending too much time on idiots, but sometimes you gotta get your grievances out. All right, the first college football rankings came out. I was very pleased with the rankings. Ohio State was number 1, which very much they should have been number 1. 2 top 10 wins. Have the resume of what they've done so far this year. I like that the committee went with what have you done this year and not what have you done in the past for me. Georgia's 2, Michigan's 3, Florida State's 4, Washington is 5, Oregon is 6, Texas is 7, Bama's 8, Oklahoma's 9. That's the only one I don't. Oklahoma should be ahead of Texas because they beat them And I believe that Oklahoma should be ahead of Alabama. I think that if you're going to do these rankings, Oklahoma should have been 7. Texas should have been 8. Bama should have been 9, in my opinion, just based off of Oklahoma did beat Texas. Ole Miss is 10. Penn State's 11. Missouri's 12. Louisville's 13. LSU's 14. Notre Dame's 15. I don't have a problem with that. Notre Dame lost to Louisville. So they're going to be ranked behind them, unlike they were in the AP. It's like you look at these rankings are not going to be the same, right? Because LSU plays Alabama this week. Someone's going to fall there. Missouri plays Georgia. Someone's going to slip there. Washington plays USC this week. Washington could lose. They haven't looked the greatest. Penn State still has to play Michigan. Ohio State. So this is it's very intriguing to look at these rankings right now and to be like, oh, blah, 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 it's not where you start, it's where you finish. That's why I had to tell a Michigan fan. It's not where you start, it's where you finish with these rankings. If you're not number 1 right now, who cares? There's been plenty of teams that have started number 1 in these rankings, not made the playoffs. There's been plenty of teams that have been in the playoffs rankings and then not made the playoffs. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. Who cares? I like that they put Ohio State 1. They're well deserving of it. They're a very good football team. 2 top 10 wins. Granted, they probably shouldn't have won the one, but you know what? Notre Dame, who I'm wearing, didn't take advantage of the opportunities, so therefore they're number 1, Ohio State. All right, picks this week. I went 3-2 last week. Let's try and turn this around a little bit. Number 21, Kansas, 6-2 at Iowa State. Iowa State is 5-3. Iowa State's a 3-point favorite. This is an easy one for me. I get Kansas, beat Oklahoma. You think they're drained. I don't believe in Iowa State. I'm going Kansas. You're going to give me Kansas State? You're going to give me Kansas at Iowa State? I'll take it. Number 23, Kansas State, 6-2 at number 7, Texas, 7-1. This is the game that I believe. This is the game where it's like Texas most likely loses these games. But I think Texas is different this year. I think they're a better team than they have been over the last 10-plus years where they would usually lose this game. Now, Quinn Ewers is not playing. But I still believe in Texas as a whole to beat Kansas State. Now, this is going to be the one where I'm going to look at and say, I knew it. Why didn't I pick Kansas State? But I'm going to roll with Texas. Texas A&M 5-3 at number 10, Ole Miss. Ole Miss is 2.5-point favorite. This is very similar to where it's like, I want to believe in Ole Miss and the lane train. Choo-choo! But this is one of those where it's like, do they normally win these? I think that they do. I think that Ole Miss is a very good football team that is kind of starting to turn heads, I think, with some teams. Now, they still have to play Georgia later on in the year. But I think it's like, whoa, quarterback, offensive play, like they can score. When I just look at that with them against Texas A&M, I like Ole Miss. If this was at Texas A&M, I'd probably take Texas A&M. Missouri, number 12, Missouri, 7-1 at number 2, Georgia, who's 8-0. Georgia's a 15.5-point favorite. Brock Bowers is still out for a couple more weeks. This is one of those games where I'm like, this is where the dominoes are going to start. I believe Georgia's going to win this game. I think they're going to cover. I think Missouri's very good, but they're not Georgia. Number 9, Oklahoma, 7-1, 6-point favorite at Oklahoma State. This game is interesting when you look at it. I think if Oklahoma wouldn't have lost last week, they could potentially lose this week, but I think they bounce back, and I believe that they win this week. Playing Oklahoma State, which I don't know if this is the last time they're going to play for a while, but it possibly could be the last time they're going to play for a few years. So it'll be very interesting to see the emotions into that game if that is true. Number 5, Washington, 8-0, -3 at number 20, USC, who's 7-2. I think this is a game USC could easily win. Neither team has looked great the last couple weeks. You're kind of reeling. Washington, you've won, but you've struggled to win. USC, you lose 2, and then you win 1 where you probably shouldn't have, it feels like. What does that do to teams? What does that do to players? Caleb Williams, Michael Penix. This is a chance for Michael Penix to move back up to the Heisman frontrunner. I think Washington's a very good football team, but I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say USC wins this football game. Something about it just seems like USC's down and out. Washington hasn't played great, but, they're still undefeated playing USC. I'm going to go with USC. All right, last game of the week. Number 14, LSU, 6-2 at number 8, Alabama. 7-1, minus 3-point favorite. LSU beat them last year. Brian Kelly got Nick Saban last year. Not going to happen this year. LSU has problems. Now, I do really like Jaden Daniels. I thought he was going to win the Heisman Trophy. Hell, he still might. He's got great numbers. But I think Alabama is slowly starting to figure themselves out. Play tough, play physical, the identity of them, playing in Tuscaloosa. You know, Brian Kelly got his win last year. Nick Saban's coming to show him what he can do to him. And I think Alabama wins it. I think it's close, but I think Alabama pulls away towards the end. But I think it'll be another great Alabama-LSU game. They've given us nothing but great games over the years, so they're always fun to watch, but I think Alabama wins it. All right, that's going to do it for this week. Look, looking at the college football playoff, we can't get all gung and stupid about what our opinion is on it. It's not where you start, it's where you finish. That's my view on it. Ohio State being number one, yes, as of right now, through the first 9 weeks or so we've been in, they are number one. But it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Michigan's in trouble. This gets messier and messier every day. You go on Twitter, more stuff's coming out. People are fighting each other and calling each other. It's laughable at this point. It's disgustingly laughable that a program that is supposed to be historically one of the best has had these problems to where we continue to talk about them this way. And then my picks this week. Thanks for watching.